Welcome to IELTS Self-Peep MasterPrep, your trusted source for real exam-based practice tests. Every test you see here is inspired by current exam trends, and each one comes with full model solutions to help you master every section. Here's our daily schedule. IELTS tests drop every morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and CLP tests every evening at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. No matter which exam you're preparing for, we've got you covered every single day. Are you ready for today's test? Give it your best shot and comment your score. The top 5 scorers will be featured in our monthly Achievers newsletter and awards. Want your name included? Let's begin.
Section 1. You will hear a man inquiring about renting a bicycle from a local shop. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10.
Good morning. Welcome to Pedal and Go. How can I help you today?
Oh, hello there. Yes, I was hoping to hire a bicycle, actually. I'm staying in the area for a little while and thought it'd be a nice way to get around.
Absolutely. You've come to the right place. Are you looking to rent just for yourself, or will there be others as well?
Just for me, thanks. Could you, talk me through how it all works?
Of course. Well, first I'd need to take a few details from you, if that's all right. Could I start with your full name?
Sure. It's David Hargrove. That's Hargrove.
Lovely, thank you. And do you have a contact number we can reach you on while you're here?
Yes, my mobile is 07946 33 8152.
Right, 07946 33 8152. Got it. And whereabouts are you staying at the moment?
I'm at a bed and breakfast on Chandler Street. Number 14.
14 Chandler Street, perfect. Now, how long were you thinking of renting the bike for?
Well, I'm here for about a fortnight altogether, but I think I'd like to have it for 10 days, if that's possible.
10 days, yes, that's absolutely fine. We do daily, weekly, and fortnightly rates. For 10 days, the best option would actually be our weekly rate plus 3 extra days. That comes to £45 in total.
£45? That's not bad at all. And what type of bicycle would that be for?
That rate is for a standard touring bike, which is what most of our visitors go for. We also have mountain bikes, but those are a bit pricier. The touring bike is really quite comfortable for country roads and cycle paths.
A touring bike sounds ideal, actually. I'm mainly planning to ride along the canal and maybe out to some of the villages. I'm not doing anything too adventurous.
Oh, lovely. The canal route is beautiful this time of year. Now, I should mention, we do require a deposit before we release the bike. It's £70, and you'll get that back in full when you return the bicycle in good condition.
£70, right. Can I pay the deposit by card?
We actually prefer cash for the deposit, I'm afraid. The rental fee itself you can pay by card, though.
Oh, all right. Cash for the deposit then. That's fine. And is there anything else I'd need to bring along or sign?
Yes, we do ask all customers to bring a form of photo identification. A passport or driving license will do. And you'll need to sign a short rental agreement. It's really just a couple of pages covering, liability and that sort of thing.
I'll bring my passport along then. Now, one other thing. Does the bike come with a lock?
It does, yes. Each bike comes fitted with a lock, and we also include a helmet free of charge. If you'd like any extras, say, a basket or a repair kit, those are available for a small additional fee.
A repair kit might actually be quite useful, just in case. How much would that be?
The repair kit is £3.50 for the entire rental period. It's got everything you'd need: spare tube, tyre levers, a little pump.
Brilliant, I'll add that on then. And what time could I come to collect the bike? I was thinking perhaps tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow would be the 19th of April, so yes, that works perfectly. We open at 8:30, but for collections it's best to come after 9, as we do a quick safety check on each bike before it goes out.
After 9, that's fine. I'll aim for about 15:15, if that suits.
That's perfect. And when you return the bike, the latest you can bring it back is 6 o'clock in the evening. We're on Victoria Lane, by the way, just round the corner from the main car park.
Victoria Lane, yes, I think I passed it on the way in. Well, that all sounds straightforward. Thank you very much for your help.
You're very welcome. We'll see you tomorrow morning then. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, you too. Bye now.
That is the end of section 1. You now have some time to check your answers to section 1. Section 2. You will hear an information officer presenting a new town library renovation. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 20.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming along today. My name is Rachel Whitfield, and I'm the Public Information Officer for Cranworth Town Council. I'm here to give you an update on the renovation of our town library, which has been closed since last September. I know many of you have been eager to hear what's been happening, so let me walk you through the changes. First of all, I should mention that the project was originally expected to cost around £1.2 million. However, due to some structural issues we discovered in the basement, the final budget came to £1.5 million. Despite that increase, the council decided not to seek additional funding from residents through a local tax. Instead, the extra money was covered by a grant from the National Heritage Lottery Fund. Now, one of the biggest changes you'll notice is the main entrance. We considered relocating it to Park Lane on the east side, but in the end, it's been moved to face Victoria Street, on the south side of the building. This gives much better access for people arriving by bus, as the stop is just across the road. Inside, the ground floor has been completely reorganized. The old reception desk, which was quite small and tucked away in a corner, has been replaced with a large, open-plan welcome area. We chose this design because we wanted visitors to feel less intimidated when asking for help. Research showed that the previous layout actually discouraged people from approaching staff. The children's section has been expanded significantly. It now occupies the entire west wing of the ground floor. Some residents suggested we put it upstairs to keep it separate, but we felt strongly that families with pushchairs and young children shouldn't have to deal with stairs or wait for the lift. On the first floor, we've created a brand new digital media suite. This was the most requested feature in our community survey last year. It includes 12 computer workstations, a podcasting booth, and a small video editing room. The suite will be free to use, though you will need to book sessions in advance online. We've also added a cafe on the ground floor, which will be run by a local social enterprise called Brewed Awakening. They'll be offering hot drinks, sandwiches, and homemade cakes. The cafe was actually the idea of our youth advisory panel, who argued that having refreshments available would encourage teenagers to spend more time at the library. Now let me tell you about some of the specific facilities. The main reading room on the first floor has been fitted with underfloor heating throughout, so it should be wonderfully comfortable all year round. The local history archive has been moved to a purpose-built, climate-controlled room in the basement to better preserve the collection. The community meeting room on the second floor has been equipped with a new projector and video conferencing technology, which means local groups can now host hybrid events. And finally, the rooftop terrace. This is entirely new. It's been designed as a quiet outdoor reading space with seating for up to 30 people, and it offers lovely views over Cranworth Park. The library is scheduled to reopen on the 14th of June, and will be holding a special opening weekend with author talks, workshops, and activities for children. We do hope you'll all come along. Are there any questions?
That is the end of Section 2. You now have some time to check your answers to Section 2. Section 3. You will hear a student and supervisor discussing a dissertation on digital marketing. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 30.
Thanks for meeting us, Dr. Evans. Sarah and I wanted to update you on our dissertations. Mine's on how small businesses use social media advertising.
Good. So Tom, remind me, what was the original focus of your research question?
Well, I started out looking at brand awareness, but after reading more widely, I decided to narrow it down specifically to consumer purchasing behavior. That felt more manageable and more original.
That's a wise move. And what methodology are you using?
I considered doing interviews, but in the end I chose online surveys because I needed a larger sample size to make the findings statistically meaningful.
Fair enough. How has the data collection been going?
Honestly, it took longer than planned. I'd estimated 3 weeks, but distributing the surveys and chasing responses stretched it to nearly 6 weeks. It really ate into my writing time.
That's quite common, unfortunately. And Sarah, how about your dissertation? yours is on influencer marketing, isn't it?
That's right. I'm examining how micro-influencers affect brand trust among young adults. I've finished my literature review, and I have to say, the amount of recent scholarship on this topic was better than expected. I found far more relevant sources than I'd anticipated.
That's encouraging. Now Tom, let's talk about your literature review. How did you find that process?
It was the most challenging part of the whole project, honestly. There's so much conflicting research out there on digital advertising effectiveness, and synthesizing it all into a coherent argument was really difficult.
I understand. It does require careful critical analysis. Now, regarding your theoretical framework, Tom, which model are you applying?
I was torn between the AIDA model and the technology acceptance model, but I settled on the technology acceptance model because it better explains why consumers respond to digital ads the way they do.
I had a similar dilemma. Dr. Evans, could I ask about Tom's survey design? I'm designing my own questionnaire and I'm a bit stuck.
Of course. Tom, how many responses have you gathered so far?
I've collected 215 completed responses, which exceeded the requirements I'd originally set. I only needed 150 to meet the minimum threshold for my analysis.
Excellent. That gives you a solid dataset. Now, what about your analysis chapter? Have you started writing it?
I've drafted the first half using descriptive statistics. But the section on correlation analysis needs more research. I want to revisit some of the statistical techniques before I commit to interpreting the patterns.
That's sensible. Don't rush the analysis. Sarah, is there anything else you wanted to raise?
Yes, actually. I've been struggling with my methodology chapter. I think the qualitative approach I originally proposed needs a different approach entirely. I'm now considering a mixed methods design instead of pure interviews.
A mixed methods approach could strengthen your findings considerably. I'd recommend you draft a revised methodology proposal and send it to me by Friday.
Dr. Evans, one last thing, the deadline for the final submission is the 20th of June, correct?
Yes, the 20th of June, no extensions. Make sure you leave at least 2 weeks for proofreading. Both of you are making solid progress, so keep up the momentum.
That is the end of section 3. You now have some time to check your answers to section 3. Section 4. You will hear university lecture on the history and science of vaccination. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. Today I want to take you through one of the most significant achievements in public health history, a vaccination. We'll look at how vaccines were first developed, the biological principles that make them effective, and some of the remarkable milestones that have shaped modern immunology. By the end, you should have a solid understanding of both the historical context and the science underpinning this extraordinary medical tool. So let's begin with the origins. Long before modern medicine, people in parts of Asia practiced a technique known as variolation, which involved deliberately exposing healthy individuals to material taken from smallpox scabs. This carried obvious dangers, but it did provide a degree of protection. The real breakthrough, however, came in 1796 when Edward Jenner, a country doctor in England, noticed that milkmaids who had contracted cowpox seemed to be immune to smallpox. Jenner extracted fluid from a cowpox blister and inoculated a young boy named James Phipps. When the boy was later exposed to smallpox, he showed no signs of illness. Jenner published his findings, and although initially met with considerable skepticism from the medical establishment, his work laid the foundation for what we now call immunization. In fact, the very word vaccine derives from the Latin word vacca, meaning cow, a direct reference to the cowpox connection. Now, let's move forward to the 19th century and the contributions of Louis Pasteur. Pasteur developed the germ theory of disease, which fundamentally changed our understanding of infection. He demonstrated that microorganisms were responsible for causing illness, and crucially, he showed that these organisms could be weakened, or attenuated, in a laboratory and then used to stimulate the body's defenses without causing the full disease. His most celebrated achievement in this area was the development of a rabies vaccine in 1885, which he tested on a boy who had been bitten by a rabid dog. The treatment was successful and brought Pasteur international fame. His methodology established the modern framework for vaccine development, one based on rigorous experimentation and scientific validation rather than mere observation. So how do vaccines actually work at a biological level? When a pathogen enters the body, the immune system responds by producing specialized proteins called antibodies. These antibodies bind to specific molecules on the surface of the invading organism, marking it for destruction. What vaccines do is introduce a harmless version of the pathogen. It might be killed, weakened, or just a fragment of the original organism. This triggers the immune system to mount a response and, importantly, to generate memory cells. These memory cells persist in the body for years, sometimes for a lifetime, and they allow the immune system to respond far more rapidly if the real pathogen is encountered in the future. This accelerated response is what prevents the disease from taking hold. Finally, I want to highlight some key achievements of vaccination programs worldwide. The most dramatic success story is undoubtedly the eradication of smallpox, which was officially declared eliminated in 1980 by the World Health Organization. This was the result of a coordinated global campaign spanning more than a decade. Polio is another disease that has been brought to the verge of elimination thanks to sustained vaccination efforts. In 1988, there were an estimated 350,000 cases of polio worldwide, but by 2023 that figure had dropped to fewer than 30. More recently, the development of mRNA vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated that entirely new platforms for vaccine design could be brought from concept to deployment in under 12 months, a timeline that would have been considered impossible just a decade earlier. To summarize, vaccination has evolved from a relatively crude practice of deliberate infection to a sophisticated branch of biomedical science. Its impact on global health is immeasurable, and ongoing advances in technology promise to make vaccines even more effective and accessible in the years to come. Thank you.
That is the end of section 4. You now have some time to check your answers to section 4. That is the end of the IELTS listening test. You now have some time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.
Before you go, don't forget to like this video, share it with other test takers, and subscribe so you never miss your daily IELTS and CELPEP tests. Drop your score in the comments. Your name could be featured in our monthly Achievers newsletter. Stay consistent, stay focused, and keep leveling up with MasterPrep.